Hi everyone, welcome back to the Model 3 Man channel. Well, it is Monday. It is a new week of Tip of the Day. It is episode number 25, so we're rolling on. I do hope at this point that wherever you are, if you're at home and isolated and you're not able to go to work, or sadly, if you temporarily don't have a job, I just want to encourage you to remain positive. This will pass. I know it's very bleak right now, but I just want to say, do not dwell on the negative. Think about the things that are good in your life, the people that are there. Think about your Model 3, and that'll bring a smile to your face. I got to say a big thank you to all of you guys in the comments section. You know, I put myself out there last time by singing a song, and I promise you, I'm not going to inflict that on you today. So, no song today. And that's not to say that I might not do it in the future. There were just so many nice comments, great comments, kind comments, not even one awful comment at all, that you just may be tempting me into trying it out again sometime in the near future. But today is a new tip of the day, and this is something that I think concerns all of us and is something we should all be trying to improve. And it's very simple. This is my top 10 tips for extending your range and getting the most out of a battery charge. But let me just ask a more fundamental question. What's the purpose of trying to get more range out of a single charge? It's not as obvious as it might at first seem. I mean, first we would say, well, we want to go further. That's true, but you could always stop and charge. I think it comes down to this. Your battery has a certain finite life. You can charge it X number of times, whatever X turns out to be. The more kilometers we get from a single charge, the further our Model 3 is able to go on the life of its battery. So that's one really good reason. Another good reason is the challenge. I mean, think of it this way. You're trying to get as many kilometers as you can from one charge. So what does that mean? It means that you're thinking and scheming and planning and plotting every single little trick you could use to get more range out of a charge. That means it's a challenge. That means that we're exercising our brains, we're thinking strategically, we're trying to make it last longer. And that's a good thing. So today, 10 tips in 10 minutes on what you can do to improve the range in your Tesla Model 3 or your Model X or your Model Y or your Model S. So, big hint number 1. Accelerate gradually. Make your acceleration smooth and progressive. Do not stomp your foot in the accelerator. That's the worst way to conserve power. So, gentle acceleration, bringing your car up to the road speed. Doing it quickly is a temptation. I mean, we have this wonderful, nimble, agile space dragon that just wants to leap ahead, and our foot is always willing to oblige. Number 2, use the Energy app. That beautiful little graph that gives you big orange peaks or nice green valleys. It shows you how much energy you're using. It shows you the predicted range at the level you're driving. At the style or rate that you're driving, it'll tell you how much you have still to go. Use it when you're trip planning. Start the trip at one point, go back and look at the Energy app and look at the trip progress, and hopefully you'll find that where it said you were going to end up with, let's say, 22%, when you get there, maybe it's 24, 25. It's a challenge, it's fun, and the Energy app is a visual reminder all the time. Number 3, drive so as to get the greatest recovery of energy possible. And of course, we're talking here about regenerative braking. We're talking about lifting your foot off the accelerator when you're going down a hill or when you're going down any kind of a gradient, or even as you're coming to a stop at a set of lights or a stop sign. Lifting your foot engages the regenerative braking process, which feeds energy back into the battery. The more of that you can do, the more energy we're recovering back into the system for us to be able to use later on. So that's an obvious one, and that's our number 3 tip. Number 4, limit your top end speed. Now, look, I know you might get to your destination 10, 15 minutes earlier on a long trip, or maybe only 2 or 3 minutes on a short trip. So does all of that extra high-end acceleration get you there quicker? Possibly it does. Is it worth it? No, I don't think so. Not if you're interested in conserving energy. So limit your top speed. The higher you go, the greater the wind resistance. The greater the wind resistance, the more energy we waste just in keeping that speed. So slow down a little, bring down your top end. Number 5, lose unnecessary weight. Now, I'm not talking about kicking your spouse or your kids out the car and traveling alone, although sometimes it's fun to travel alone. Here's what I'm talking about. Those things in the trunk that you forgot are still there. Those objects you borrowed from friends still lying in the trunk. That object that should be going back into the shed or back into your house. Any extra weight in the car is going to use more energy. So keep the car as light as you can. So not talking about all the extra pounds you might be putting on in your period of self-isolation. Listen, we need that comfort food. This is a weird, strange life, at least this time for us. So if you need the comfort food, go for it. But extra weight, throw it out. Number 6, tire inflation matters. If your tires are soft, if they're underinflated, you're going to be using more energy to drive the car forward. If your tires are at the right pressure, 42 psi or even 45, up to 45, anywhere within that range, your rolling resistance is reduced, your range is extended, you get better return on the charge that you have. So always check the tires. Pull the tire pressure card onto the screen and make sure that you're at least at the recommended 42. Now listen, if you're traveling through snow in the winter, that's different. You're going to lower the inflation of the tires to be able to get more grip. But we're talking here about a long trip where you're trying to get the most out of your battery. Keep the tires at the right pressure. Number 7, keep your car clean and shiny. Like Red Dragon in these pictures here. Red Dragon often isn't in this condition, so when it is, I like to show her off. But a car that is shiny, smooth, polished, slippery will go through the air with greater ease than one that's covered in dirt, covered in dust, and just does not have that smooth, lowered resistance to wind. So is it significant? I'm not sure that it really is. I'll tell you this, you'll feel a whole lot better about driving a clean car. When your car looks good, you feel good. But I think that it does make some difference. I think it's really minimal. But you know what? I had to reach 10 top tips. So that's one of them. But I do believe it makes some difference. Number 8, choose a route that has fewer stops. Now, given that the distance is not very different between two alternate routes, you're going to benefit by not having to come to a complete standstill all of the time and to have to accelerate to bring the car up to the speed. It has to overcome that initial inertia. So obviously, if you're constantly stopping and then starting up again, you're going to use more power. If you can keep rolling at a nice, comfortable set speed, you're going to use less power per mile or kilometer traveled. Number 9, keep your windows closed. I know it might be hot out there, but you have a perfectly adequate air conditioning system in your climate control section, and the air conditioner does not use a lot of power. It really doesn't. So if you're able to just keep the windows closed, put on the air conditioner, you'll keep cool, but the car will improve its performance because opening the windows causes buffeting of air, and air turbulence always slows an object down. On to number 10, the final tip to help you get better range. See, we talked about the air conditioner, and I said to you that it really does not use a lot of power from the battery. That is not true for heating. If you go into your climate control section and set the temperature up to 25 Celsius, I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. You could Google it. But you set it up to 25, pretty warm. It is using a tremendous amount of the battery to bring up that heat and to keep it going. So what are we to do? Well, a few things. Number one, use the seat heaters as opposed to the internal heating of the cabin. If it's not that cold, the seat heater will keep you feeling warm. It really will. Number two, wear a jacket, a cardigan, a sweater, just a second layer. That's all you have to do. And I'm not talking about traveling in the middle of winter where it's, minus 15 outside in the prairies. I'm talking about, colder than you'd like it to be. Try not to use the climate control for heating. Use the seats. So here's another little tip. Before you set out on the journey, have your car plugged into your charger at home and absolutely turn the heating on full. Turn it up to high. Let the car fill with heat so that when you get in, you actually start taking clothes off. And as you drive, it will maintain for quite a while. And then you can turn the seat heaters on and you could use a jacket. Now listen, sometimes we just have to use the heating and go ahead and do it. But I'm just telling you that as an optimal strategy, we try not to turn that heating on. So there they are, 10 useful tips that if you combine and you put to practice, will really increase the range that you get from a single charge. Let's make sure that what we're doing is everything we can to not draw so much power from the battery. So that's it for our tip of the day today. Tomorrow, Tuesday, another idea. But share this one around. This is useful for anyone that owns a Model 3. So share this tip with friends. Share it on your Facebook page or anywhere that you have a social media presence. Once again, thank you. I'm so glad to be starting up again. We have lots of episodes planned. I honestly have to say I think I have the kindest, nicest community of anyone on YouTube. So thanks for being such great followers, subscribers, supporters. I appreciate it. It makes a very big difference when you know that what you're uploading is being helpful to people. So thank you very much for that. If you're about to buy a new Tesla, please feel free to use that referral code. So thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow on our next episode.